No. I started the live stream. I just started it. I'm not going to do any fanfare or nothing. This is. I'm going to do it on the fly. It's fine because I can. So anyway, so we're saying Ernesto. I cannot remember the life. Remember the name of the other guy. Another like Spanish name. Again, I can't 100% remember exactly where they were from, but they were like Latin. I gotta keep. Now I got my camera overlaid. I don't know why it does it, but like when you turn off your camera, it shuffles all the stuff around. I don't know why. It's aggravating. Also, I'm not sure if it was a good idea or not, but I added my second Discord account into the mix so that I could watch us talking at my lower monitor in real time and react to that because that's where my camera is. Because I'm looking up at top here, like where we're. So I have a 2 PC setup. I have my main PC that I do 90% of what I do stuff on, gaming and whatever, research, surfing, you name it. And then I have my slightly older gaming PC, which is my streaming PC. And it's got a capture card in it. So from my video card, I output to my monitor and I output to the video capture card. And then in that PC, because that's got to have my main mic. Oh, that's, by the way. Yeah, it is if you understand the basics of the tech, it's not super complicated, but essentially I'm outputting the video and audio from my main PC to a second PC, and that PC mixes the video and audio feeds from that computer and then mixes it with everything else to output for recording and streaming. And because I need my microphone, my better quality mic setup to be on the stream, it's on that computer. So we're using the Discord on that PC because that's where my microphone is. But in order for me to watch it on my main computer, which is a monitor that's right in front of me, I can't be logged in in our channel right now with an account on this PC. So I had to use a second account to log in so that I can, like, that's why you see that like fifth little window there with nothing happening. That's my original Discord account. That's just there, so it's sitting in the room so I can see you guys. But the problem is because I'm also capturing the screen of the cameras for the live feed, that account being in there fucks up the whole goddamn array, which pisses me off. Yeah, it's fine for you guys. Yeah. So yeah. Mm. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh. There's more in between that, though. There is more in between. The the print shop was before my time. I know that at some point, somehow, the print shop was involved with the upstairs, like commercially. Um, uh, yeah. So I guess they're the ones who sold the business that my landlord bought it from. So I'm not sure when that would have been. I always thought the print shop was upstairs. I think the landlord said it had been upstairs, but I guess maybe it was both, or maybe they were upstairs and moved downstairs. The downstairs at one point, I believe, was I think at one point the downstairs was an auto body shop, and there was an up to a certain. I think it's completely gone now, but there was some signage on the side of the building in the back somewhere that was like just old school, like painted on signage that said something auto something or other. I can't remember now. Yeah, it's been so long, and it's just been like was destroyed by the elements. but there was something there at one point. So I was like, well, that wasn't on the second floor. That was on the first floor, right? And the first floor had a garage door entrance that went in. The building dates to like there was something, yeah. So in the second floor at the back, there's this huge opening, roughly the size of a garage door. And then when we moved in there, it didn't have a door in it anymore. Someone had just built this wall that was sort of tied in place to a wall on the inside to seal it off. But that eroded over time, and squirrels got in and shit. And I had to like rebuild it later. And the landlord paid me to rebuild it. I did a damn good job, but that's neither here nor there. What was I gonna say? But so I believe that at some point the print shop was upstairs, might have been downstairs too. There was definitely an auto body shop, and again, the building's old though. The building goes back decades, like at least the 50s, maybe beforehand. I know that structurally it would never pass code now because the floor joists were 2x10s on 18-foot spans between the metal. So the metal I-beams went north-south, like left to right, every like 18 feet, and then between them, the joist. It's funny, like maybe the width is about 30 feet, so it makes a bit of sense. But the joists ran in between the metal I-beams, and they were 2x10s, only like yay high. When normally for those kinds of spans, you need at least a 2x12. But they were on 12-inch centers. This makes sense. We're getting technical here, but they were 12 inches apart on center as opposed to 6. Nowadays, you get like big, high, tough floor joists, but they're 16 inches on center. These were 12 inches, so maybe back then code allowed for something like that. Obviously, it was built to code when it was made, but yeah, but for like 70 years, 80 years that it was around, at least. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But over time, and even before we moved in the place, the joists were all bowed because you have these 18-foot joists. So if you're looking during the day, there's humps. Every 18 feet, there is a hump. We had a hump in the middle of our ramp that wasn't severe, and you got used to it. But there was a slight hump in the flat of the ramp because it was part of the flat went over one of these beams, and everything kind of sunk away from the beams. If I had to guess, like if you went peak to peak and measured the drop in the middle, maybe only a half inch to an inch, something in that range. Not severe, but I know as a skateboarder you notice it, and as a and me being a builder, yes, it's so obvious. But I just whatever. I didn't own the building, and I wasn't going to pay to fix it, so that's what it was. But anyways, so I'm deviating here. Bruce LaBruce might have rented from the old owners before my landlord had bought it. And I'm not sure when the artist, Ernesto and so moved in. They were definitely renting from Costa, our landlord at the time. But it's possible they were already in that space, say, before Costa got the building. So there's definitely a gray area there where it's a mystery to me. But I do... Yes, yeah. And I remember Ernesto because like we struck up a conversation, went to look at the place, and we went there at least one more time in between taking the space after he was moving out. And there's conversations about this and that, and like we hit it off and enjoyed talking. And like he's an artist, and I've always been this like art-minded person that never put any serious attention in studying or having much in artistic endeavors, but I always appreciated it. And I never let myself go down a lot of those, art rabbit holes. I had, too many spinning plates as it was. So, but I enjoyed talking with Ernesto, and we hit it off. And I just remember like there wasn't a passing of the torch, but I think he did appreciate that the fact that some weirdos were moving in and then planned to do something fun with the space, and it wasn't gonna be turned into an office or some, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. 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 Recording and live streaming. We are live. Yep. Right. That you know of. If you're able to. Like it's I haven't. Did you guys send me the audio? If there was. Oh. Mine. I have checked my spam folder actually. I didn't see anything in there. Um. Yeah. Yeah. You should add me to your filters in the most extreme way. I'll use email 10 times in a year, so you won't get any spam from me. I promise. Yeah. Start the WhatsApp group. I did email you my number. Check your spam folder. but it's what was I gonna say? Yeah, I like a conversation that's very linear, an email conversation with like different reply alls having different things, and you're trying to scan through the conversation. It's very non-linear when you have multiple replies and you glaze over stuff thinking it's something you've already read, and you don't. Yeah, so I probably missed that info from you guys. That's why I like a chat app works a million times better. So if we start a WhatsApp a group conversation, that will. Yeah, yeah. But all linear. There's not like multiple of the same pages that you have to scan everything to figure out where you are in the conversation. Especially if it's emails, you get like 10 responses from like the four of us in a day, and you're trying to like make like you could do a reply all to something a couple minutes after someone else has done a reply all, and they won't necessarily have the entire conversations in one or the other, and therefore. Yeah, as you might be starting to realize, I can be very anal and silly about like how I do things. And a little bit of ADHD and autism. Yes, combination thereof. Yeah. Hmm. It might be the right ingredients for something, anyways. Mm. Mm. I mean, to put it succinctly, well, I think I basically said it. I didn't have a bedroom for 3 years. Once we had a ramp, the renovation, like I got the bathroom done, I got a bedroom set up for Nate. The room was Ernesto's old room, was basically my brother got set up, and then I just had some boxes and bookshelves walling off where my bed was in one area that eventually became my office. But I didn't have a bedroom for 3 years because we built the ramp right away after that. Once the ramp was built, we just skated almost every night, and so here we are like carpenters working construction, 8+ hours a day, and would come home and probably skate for 2 to 3 hours a night. So there was no time or energy left for renovation work. So that's why I didn't get a bedroom for 3 years. Just running ourselves ragged on work and fun. And I had a bed, but it was like, if you can picture where Paul's room was, it was like the round cornered off like plywood wall area, sort of kitty corner from the kitchen. That was an open area at one point, and I had just a bed in that area, and I just had like a bookshelf to one side, like a big bookshelf I'd had. And then I think I just had things set up to block off the view as best as possible, but that view was only blocked off to maybe like 6 feet or something. Like, so it was just, the bathroom was like largely renovated up until that point. It required some adjustments and got renovated later when I made the concrete sink, I believe, or maybe I even did something after the concrete sink. I'm trying to remember the order of events here. Is the bath? Yeah, that's the one we had. That was the one that was there. If he's the one who had that installed with that weird enclosure, it was god awful. So it was, the clawfoot tub was up against the outside wall, and then it was walled, and then someone had made a plywood like sort of top or something to sit over the tub to give it sort of a like an edge, and then that was walled against that, and you had to, and it was all walled on 3 sides, and you had to get in from the end of the tub to get into the tub where the shower was. And I guess it was more or less waterproof, but it was gross at that point. Who knows how long it had been around, and it was impossible to get into. It was very weird, and there was this weird walkway on the one side of that tub shower system to get into the kitchen. So there was all this space that was used just by making a 6-foot long walkway rather than giving that space to the room, which was also weird. So like we changed the orientation of the bathroom and brought it out a little bit. I think we brought it out like a foot or so. Brought the whole like wall out. I'm trying to remember the. But anyways, and changed orientation, and we actually, that tub stayed after I made the way the drain and the plumbing was. I made a little platform and elevated up about 8 feet, and that was the tub area. And the hope was one day, maybe instead of using the tub, to turn that whole like 4 foot by like 6 foot area into like just a big shower area. But we never got to that. And I just put the tub in there. And we kind of refurbished it a little bit. We sanded it down, did an epoxy recoating, painted the outside of it. We had 2 of the clawfoots that worked on the one side, 1 imitation that worked on the other side, and I think possibly a stack of 2x4s holding it up in the one corner, so it didn't have all the feet properly. But that was sort of hidden from view. And then we're getting into these weird details here, but and then we got through Home Depot a faucet system that had a diverter through a tube that would go up to a shower head that also included the round section that holds the shower curtains. It was designed for clawfoot tubs. You'd be hard pressed to find something like that now in a home renovation store, but so we were able to have a shower and a tub because of Bruce LaBruce's tub, apparently. I wish I'd known that all these fucking years. That's crazy. But we refurbished a tub. We made it into a nice, and in the way, and if you ever have pictures of the bathroom, like there was a decent amount of open space around the tub, so it didn't feel squished or anything. The tub sat nicely in this area that just looked kind of nice. You had a good vibe. You go into that washroom, to the right was a nice concrete sink, toilet nice perfectly in front of you, and to the left was this old clawfoot tub that was just sitting in this kind of open area. Yeah. Yes, yeah, exactly. And the tall ceilings helped that too, but like, yeah, the layout just sort of wrote itself, I guess. It worked out really nice. That was which idea was that? That was after I moved out. So Paul, you would have been there for that. I feel like it might have been like Adam. I don't know. Yeah, it's a drum. Yeah, it's a drum stand. But you're the one who put that there to hold the toilet paper? No, but you were the architect of the idea of using a drum stand for a toilet paper. I thought it was clever. Ooh, what just happened? Oh, so I got to watch this. Yeah, there it is. That's Paul's architectural beauty. There you go. So Paul, you can add that to your CV. Furniture designer. Oh yeah. See, every time the things get shifted, because I got my camera overlaid, so it's not backwards in the stream. Is that gonna work? No, it's fine. It's yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the whole place was a storage place. Yeah. Uh-oh. Live and work, yeah. Okay, so I yeah, so soybomb had a roadmap more or less from day one. It got changed and evolved a little bit along the way, but there was an agreed upon roadmap, and so um well, we knew what we wanted to build in the space, and what we so the idea was like, we were gonna made it a pretty, we made an okay bathroom, right? And then we turned the second, because there was two bathrooms in there. There's the bathroom that Bruce LaBruce had like made out of an old commercial bathroom, which would have just been a toilet and a sink, and then they added the tub, and I think that and again, it was a commercial space, so it wasn't like really outfitted like for this well. And then opposite that bathroom was another like water closet that was a mirror image of a sink and a toilet and nothing else, right? And and uh and we didn't need a second water closet at the time. We didn't think we were making a venue, so we turned that into a laundry room. And so I think year two or the end, somewhere, yeah, probably like year two is when I started turning that into a laundry room, right? We didn't have a laundry room yet. We were always using laundromats or whatever, but we had the space to do it, and the plumbing was all there. And part of like the rebuilding of so there was two electrical panels in the second floor for our space. There's one like 2/3 to the back, which is sort of in the kitchen, and there's one that was initially in an outside wall, if I remember correctly. And I like, we pulled the walls apart, and I took this whole fucking electrical panel live because I had no way of shutting it off because the access was downstairs, which is locked off to us most of the time, and like moved this into another wall inside what became the laundry room. And then I made it cabineted so that it was not accessible when you're in the laundry room, because there's codes about not being able to access an electrical within 4 feet of running water, so it had to be like a closed off. And so there was that, which was, I guess, year two we're doing that. And that was done before I got my bedroom. I remember that. There was a storage space. So if you think of the layout, you come in, there's the ramp, there's the washrooms, like the laundry room and the washroom, and then there's the open area, there's the kitchen, then there's bedroom one to the right, which was my first bedroom, and then at the back was like Nate's and John's rooms, and then there's the little open L space off the open space, and then there's a little storage room, and it was about 6 feet, probably like six. Ouch! I just hit a monitor. 6 feet by 10 to 12 feet deep, and that was initially meant to be like storage slash. That was gonna be our little shop where Nate and I kept all our tools, which is funny that we thought that was gonna be enough back then, and that was built as a storage, like a tool storage area, and then as the thing progressed, eventually I got a room. I used the extra old kitchen cabinets that I got from renovation work, and I made an office using kitchen cabinets, and I had my own little space there to like just do things, and then it was all open, and then eventually, in between now during this time, the roommate shift. So around year 2, my brother moved out only after about 6 months. My ex-girlfriend moved in. She took the room that Jonathan had, and yeah, she was an ex when she moved in, I believe. Wait, maybe not. Maybe she wasn't an ex yet. She might not have been an ex yet when she moved in. Now that I come think of it, but she took her. She had her own bedroom. She was moving in, but we weren't moving in together. If that makes any sense, and which is kind of good too, because like Bianca, I think, needed her own space anyways, right? Because her vibe would not have worked with my vibe in terms of like, you know, because our bedroom, because the one of the ongoing rules of the space from like day one essentially is that we're going to keep the main space simple and interpretable, and everyone gets to do whatever they want in their rooms, and the rooms are big. Each room is like roughly 12 feet by 18 feet. Like they're massive bedrooms, so you have enough room for a bed and like a quasi like mini living room if you wanted, right? Like there's tons of space in our rooms to do whatever the heck we wanted, and that was kind of the vibe. So if you want your own custom like living space, you do it in your rooms. I mean, everyone always chills out in the common areas everywhere, but like one of the things that like started happening is that Bianca wanted a living room, and she wanted to turn the huge area opposite the kitchen into a living room. And I'm like, if we make it a living room, that means we can't use it for anything else. Like, I'm against the idea of a living room. Like, we have couches, just throw a couch in the ramp, or just so you can set up, we can have couches and stuff. But she wanted to build a for-purpose living room out of the second largest space in the house, which would have killed it for any other thing we would have wanted to do. And I didn't want to do that. Nate didn't care so much about that, but what he wanted to do was he wanted to stop doing the renovation work and live with everything as is, and he wanted to stop being a construction site. And I can empathize with that, but at this point I'd spent like thousands of dollars on materials and was like putting all this work. Another thing too that happened at this point after 2 years is that like Nate was very helpful doing work on the place within the first year, and then after that he didn't really care anymore, right? He had his bedroom to where he wanted it. There was a usable kitchen, so to speak, and he was fine with that. And the bathroom was done, and we're working towards a laundry room, and he didn't want to do any work on the place. I didn't have a bedroom yet, but he didn't want any more work to be done on the place. He wanted to just get rid of all the materials, put everything away, and live as is. And I didn't want that, because we'd all agreed at the beginning that we had this roadmap of what we wanted to build in the place, right? And I'd invested a lot of time and money into to start that and to do that. And I was the only one at that point after the first year was done. For the second year, I was the only one who was doing any work on the place. And yeah, he's a carpenter. He did, but having said that, he was a fresh out of like college, more or less, like carpenter who was doing union work installing like prefabricated panels in condos. So his sort of what he had hands-on experience with was like maybe 1% of what my experience was, which was like a little bit of everything. So he could be instructed, but he was more like bang, bang, get it done, had no finesse, didn't care about detail. And at that point in time, wasn't interested in finishing the project anyways. He just wanted to work, come home, get high, play video games, skate, hang out, party on the weekends, right? That's he wanted off the bus we'd started rolling, and he wanted to get off at that stop, and he wanted to stay at that stop. And I wasn't interested in that. And I wasn't interested in that because that would defeat the whole purpose of why I was there from day one. And like I say, it's something we'd agreed on from the beginning. Like, it wasn't like, no, this is what I want, is my way or the highway. It's like, no, we all agreed on this ride. Like, and I've done massive amounts of work towards this and spent money and time to do this. I'm not stopping because you just don't want construction materials around. I mean, oh, 100%. They moved out because of it. They moved out. It went into fights. It was like, well, fights as in arguments, although it did get pretty heated one time. But it's kind of like it's like, guys, I'm not like I here's A, here's Z. We're at like, you know, we're at D, and I don't even have a bedroom yet, let alone like, you know, I still wanted to like the kitchen was like ad hoc, like boxes and sawhorses and 2x4s and like just random whatever. We had one fridge for 3 people, 3 people plus friends. It was kind of like it was not easy living, and I wanted to get it all finished. And yeah, and part of the thing too is like I'm grown up working poor, like pretty poor person. I never thought that I would ever have anything nice, but here I was in this space. Well, we got this really nice large space downtown Toronto, and I have the ability to make a nice place. I'm not trying to be super bougie and fancy, but I could have something. Yeah, but I could have something I could like. People could compliment that, like people go, oh shit, that's pretty cool, that's pretty sick, right? Like it's like it was. In fact, my original ideas for how I wanted to do the place weren't even as nice as they ended up becoming. But you know, so I still had more modest like ideas. I just wanted to build something that was functional, kind of cool because it was different, and that was that, and just have a really cool place to live in. But those guys weren't along for the ride anymore. And in a lot of ways, they'd kind of stopped being along for the ride. Sort of. So that's the next part of this. So at one point early on, Nate had a friend from the graffiti scene who needed a place to crash, and they sorted the area between the front windows and the ramp. They started just sort of living in there. They weren't paying any rent or anything, but that sort of became this weird little temporary bedroom. And that's was never the intention. That eventually became my shop at one point, but when Nate and Bianca left, our friend Matt, he moved into Bianca's room, and that's when Brian, was it Brian, moved into Nate's room, and he was a skater, knew him from the skate scene. And Suzanne moved in as well at that point. Like I started dating Suzanne, and I kind of strong-armed Suzanne into moving in. I thought she would love it and thought it was great, but I didn't know at the time that her social anxiety was high enough that she hated it, and it just got worse for the 3, 4, 5 years she was living there. Yeah. Oh, yes. No. They were from so Ernesto. I don't know how long some of the stuff had been there now, knowing the further history of the place, but Ernesto had collected all kinds of random things that he could have made into art, right? That's where the tiles that were mounted on display boards were, a collection of those were there. He had some weird old broken like electronics that didn't work but were kind of neat. He had all these like rolled up architectural plans, and I saw a value in that too. Like, you know, this is something really cool. Like there is something about like architectural drawings that like has a neat look to them, and you can turn that into art. You can turn that into visual art, even if it's for your own like enjoyment. I always thought one thing that actually I started saving magazines, newspapers, and picture books because I wanted to have a collage party at Soybomb, and I'd been saving up materials to do this for like 20 years, and I never did get to have that collage party, unfortunately. The collage party being you set up a bunch of tables in the space, invite everyone you know over, you boil up a big vat of wheat paste, and everyone just hangs out, drinks or not drinks, and goes through all the stuff I collected and cuts out stuff and just makes some collage art, right? mainly a social activity, but you get to make some goofy stuff or maybe some meaningful stuff. I don't know. And I'd always wanted to do that. So having those technical drawings, I saw that as a way of like using that in collaging if it came to it, you know, potentially, or something else. Who knows? Again, coming from a poor, raised very poor, and an era where you didn't throw anything away. Also an era where things were generally built to be service, not disposable. So it is hard to throw things away when you grew up without things and you think, oh, that's something, if it's working, has a lot of value. Here is me, someone who didn't ever own much of value. Now I own this thing of value that I may or may not be able to use and may or may not be able to fix if it's not currently working. So, you know, you keep it until you think, well, this is, if I do have need of this thing, if I had to buy it, it would cost me a fortune. So I'll just hang on to it until it doesn't make sense to hang on to it anymore, or use it, right? That's ultimately where, yeah. So yeah, the drawings, yes. Huh. Hmm. Yeah, by the time, yeah, yeah, I think that's, to elaborate on that, I definitely think a lot of people that moved into soy bomb moved in partially because of soy bomb clout, because soy bomb grew in infamy, and if you lived at soy bomb has a notoriety in the community you're from. That's how you're at soy bomb, wanting to live in soy bomb in the first place generally. And at first it seems great, but then some people don't realize that they're not going to like every show that's going to happen there, and sometimes, yeah, yeah. Mhm. Looking after your own shit. Mm. Do your dishes and, yeah. We're inviting a bunch of strangers here, and they're coming to see some music. So, and in the kitchen too, like Suzanne's running the canteen in the kitchen, and she's got to like have everything nice and clean and ready for her. And she's not going to do anyone else's dishes, and she's not going to pick up anyone else's stuff. So that would be on me to do. And if I'm also trying to like part of my work every time we had a gig at Soy Bomb was packing up the place and hiding everything that's out during the rest of the time, right? So like furniture, tables, all kinds of random things have to get everything has to become compressed, right? I gotta make sure everyone's personal things are hidden away in the bathroom. The idea is that Soy Bomb becomes a blank slate that no one can fuck with. Because the other thing too is if you leave anything out, drunk people are just gonna fuck with it, right? So you have to hide all your shit. You have to hide all your shit. You have to make sure that everything's nice and sort of presentable, or at least like here's another thing too. Like, if you don't pick up the litter in your yard, everyone's gonna throw litter in your yard. So you have to make it look like you care and give a shit to inspire other people to give a shit. So the idea was to start out the night at Soy Bomb as tidy as possible, because we don't want people to get the vibe that it's okay to just fuck shit up, because we got to deal with that, right? So it was a lot of set. Oh, that didn't happen too much. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Exactly. And we have and we involved our presentation to the outside world too, where at some point I would say at the end of every show event, Soy Bomb is a home to like 4 or 5 people and 1 or 3 cats, depending on what point of time it was. So yeah, 2 to 4 cats, and please like Paul, Discord audio not coming through stream. How is that possible? You can hear everyone else, but not Paul. Paul, say something. Oh, that is not coming through. Can you guys say something? Oh, for the love of Pete. All right. I have to I forget that it's an experimental thing that is say something now? The heck'em. Yeah. Well, what's annoying with that is that none of that's going to be on the recording, I don't think. Mm. Whoa. Yeah. This is sakes one thing to another. Let's just sec. Um. So where is that Discord audio? That not. it's it's not. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense why that's not working. Yeah. Get Buffy to do some purring. Here, Paul, tell us an anecdote for a second. Someone's got to make some noise. Oh my God, it's not working. I don't understand why that's definitely have the right thing selected. Yeah, for the moment. Horrible things. I'm gonna try and add a patient audio capture from scratch. Oh, I am starting to have an idea of why that wasn't working. Someone make some noise really quick. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I think it has something to do. Well, this is all based on the one computer, unfortunately. It wouldn't like OBS functions pretty much the same in Mac as well. It is an experimental feature I'm using in the software, capture the audio to allow me to control that. If I don't use this feature, all the noises that come through on the Windows desktop all just are on like one sort of track, right? They're not individually controllable necessarily. But I was messing with stuff. Hold on. Yeah. Get this done so that I can grab a beer. What? Like you were drinking last time. Okay. It's working now.
Bit from Airplane.
Is this working?
You need me to
it's working
picked the wrong
now.
week to quit drinking.
Yeah. I had developed a drinking problem. He throws the drink in his eye.
Are we all on there now?
Yes, it's working. I forgot that I was doing something else
I'm
between
still gonna
the.
grab a beer one second.
Right. I was doing something else since the last time we hung out.
That's a good time to get a beer.
I'd mess with I get a beer, and I'd mess with some settings and.
Go get a beer.
All right. All right. My word.
Everyone else is grabbing a drink too?
Yeah.
Nice. Right. Cool.
I just said to Suzanne, we're talking about roommates at Soybomb, and she goes, "Oh yeah. God."
Oh God. Oh yeah. And that reminds me, I do want to formally on the record apologize to Suzanne because she was well within her rights to scold me at a show one time.
She was within her rights to scold you. What were you doing?
So I was because Blair, my buddy Blair, lived there for a while, and so Wolf's was playing a show there, and I had my video camera and I was filming their set. You know, I was getting up close, fisheye lens, whatever, and I was switching lenses, but I had all my gear in my gear bag, and it was in Blair's room, so I kept having I didn't want everything out on the main floor, so I kept having to go back, and there was a sign near the kitchen saying, "You can't come back here. Like, don't come back here. You can't go back to the bedrooms." But I had my gear in my bag in Blair's room, so I kept having to go back and switch lenses, and once or twice was fine. They let me through, and then the third time, Suzanne was like, "You can't do this anymore. You can please don't do this anymore."
So she was probably. I think she was. Wait, was it set up so you had to go through the kitchen around the island to get in? Right.
Yeah.
And you're probably interfering with her slinging stuff around.
Totally was, and I did it one too many times, and she was like, "Don't do this anymore. I'm kicking you out." And I'm like, "Fair, totally fair." Apologies, Suzanne. Didn't mean to make your night harder.
I think it's partly like the fact that like we only had that one awkward way to get through, and A and B, she probably didn't know who you are, and she's probably was like, "Who's this guy?" Always like.
It was loud. I was trying to explain, but it wasn't happening, so I was like, "No problem. I'll just use the one lens for the rest of the night. It's all good." Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like I don't think there's Suzanne served me many beers
I can only hear Jason. Yeah, sorry for that technical faux pas. Too loud. Okay. Too loud for explanations. That's soybomb. That's also true. You can't have an explanation conversation of what's going on.
Yeah, couldn't do it. So I was like, I just have to use the one lens. It was fine.
Suzanne always did the work of like 3 bartenders at a soybomb gig, so she was in the zone and focus, right?
For sure.
And anytime someone might like want to work with her, inevitably she felt that they just slowed her down and got in her way. So
big props to Suzanne.
Yeah.
Let's get back on the roommate discussion.
Okay,
so Steven, I know you had a few more questions.
Paul was in the middle of saying something, wasn't he?
Can we go back to the roommate history? I want to pick
roommate
up
history? Yeah. Okay, so Bianca and Nate moved out. We made up like we had a blowout, and they were, I think, trying to punish me, but within a year we were all like friends and hanging out again, more or less.
Who moved in?
So Paul, Matt Pochalowski, a friend, moved into Bianca's old room. Brian, I almost remember his last name, moved to the new from the skate scene, and an older, like late 20s, like not a brand new guy, moved into Nate's old room. Now, Brian thought that it was going to be like living in Shred Central, I think, where it was going to be just like partying, drinking, and skateboarding every night. And while there was intermittently a lot of partying and intermittently a lot of skateboarding, we couldn't do it nonstop. When he was having friends over and skateboarding till like midnight or later every night of the week, and like Suzanne and I, we got to get up for work. I don't think Matt cared that much, but eventually that wore thin, and he was like going out to bars sometime in the middle of the week and coming back and bringing people back to like till like midnight, 2 a.m. like in a weeknight. We're not talking like a Friday or even really a Thursday, something like a Tuesday and a Wednesday or something. So it's like it got to be a bit much. Like it just wasn't. It was one of those situations where like if he couldn't fix that, then it was going to have to be him or Suzanne ultimately. Like it was annoying to me, but I also got like pretty, I got thick skin. A lot of shit can roll off me before I tend to give a crap when it comes to like social friction. I think Matt was kind of similar too, but Suzanne was kind of like, I can't live like this.
You have to have an awareness of the other people in the space and trying to make sure that everyone can get along.
Yeah, and on top of that is also like, well, if Suzanne's mental health is at stake where she's going to move out, that affects me.
That's not on.
That affects me too. And I'm like, well, fuck that. So it just got kind of like passive aggressive for a while. Trying to I was like straight up told him lots of times, like, you can't do this. Like, I mean, I'm sure I would have a good time thinking, well, I'm just going to do this one time, have this fun with my friends, come home, whatever. But it was nonstop and constant. But instead of, like, he got a few talking tos, and it was, I think, insinuated that if he can't shut it down, he's going to have to move out. But then he, shortly thereafter, got a job on the West Coast and moved out into BC. So it just kind of became like
it fixed itself.
It fixed itself.
Kind of resolved itself. Yeah, that's great.
And that
who moved into his space?
I feel like if we try to recount the whole thing, we're gonna.
I know. Okay, so I think it might have been Jaeger. So after Bianca moved out, she moved in with her next boyfriend around the corner. And then they broke up. And when they broke up, Bianca moved down the street from us, even closer. And Jaeger, I think, moved into that bedroom, if I'm not mistaken. No, Jaeger moved in. Was he in that room for a while? I think Jaeger lived there twice, or maybe moved to another room later. But, because Bianca and him broke up, and then he moved into Soybomb. And then they got back together, and I think Bianca moved back into Soybomb with Jaeger. And then they broke up and then they lived there in separate rooms in Soybomb after they broke up. So Bianca had a room and Jaeger had a room. Soybomb was a weird place. I mean, I think about this. That's kind of weird. But
it's okay, things happen.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone was pretty chill about that. And but also shortly, oh God, I'm trying to, like, again, if I have to, this might be something I might want to approach writing it down at some point.
Sure.
But
I I don't mind talking about it though, and
Jaeger's
think about it first.
Jaeger's friend Marianne, she moved in at one point, but all the bedrooms were taken, but she needed a place to live, so she moved into that area at the front between the ramp and the windows that eventually became my wood shop. So she lived in the first, like, sort of almost the fourth bedroom for a while, and then she moved out.
How did that work out?
It was Marianne was fine. Like, she was chill, she was respectful. Also, she could be a little bit loud, really, because if she's hanging out with friends and she's at the very front of Soybomb, she wasn't really affecting stuff at the back, you know.
What did that look like physically? As like because my memory of it is there's the windows on the east side, and then you have the fence.
Yeah, and so I think
may or may not have had
I think she had like fabric up over the fence to give her some privacy, and I think she had like a curtain going across just to cover the area where her like bed and personal stuff was. It wasn't much of a bedroom to speak of, although in hindsight, it's probably.
It was a makeshift privacy screen, though.
Yeah, exactly. It was a makeshift privacy screen, but ultimately, I guess compared to like a lot of apartments in Toronto, is probably as big as any average bedroom. To be fair, it just felt like she didn't have a good bedroom because we all had big bedrooms, I guess.
It would have had more windows than your room.
They're trying to get to the spot where Paul moves in.
Okay, so. Jesus, there's definitely like I would have to sit and think about this and write it all out. Is there a lot of people? At any given time, so at this point, there's 3 bedrooms. At one point, it's occupied with 5 people, because me and Suzanne were in one room, Jaeger and Bianca are in another room. Matt was in one room. Matt moved out because his Polish mom came from Poland, saw that he was living in a studio place, and she really didn't like it, which is weird because he went to school. He was going to school for theater and was working in theater. So I don't know why it matters. He was living in a weird artist loft, but she would not have it and said that she wasn't going to support him anymore if he was living there. So he had to move out, which was really weird, which is fine though. Yeah. Then Bianca took his room, I guess, because Bianca and Jaeger broke up or something. I don't think I'm missing anybody there. Very strange. But then, Jaeger moved into the small room and someone moved into the big room. Can't remember who that was, but it was just those 3 bedrooms. Like Marianne moved out at one point, so it was just the 3 bedrooms. And then
what's the time frame we're dealing with here? Like what year to what year kind of frame?
I feel we're missing some people, but I could say now we're at roughly like 2008-ish, I would guess.
Okay.
Roughly 2008-ish, like the kitchen's done. Maybe like between 2006, 2008, the kitchen's been finished. We've enjoyed it. We've had some like get-togethers. We had sword sake nights. We had some fun times. Suzanne moves out soon. She gets her own apartment. She leaves Soybomb because she was going to school for being a nurse, and she just couldn't take having to deal with living with other people anymore. She moved like a block away, and I would at that point start spending, for the years she lived in this other location, year or so, I spent every night at her place. So I was like, even though I had a so around this time, I think I decided I was going to wall off. So Paul, what became your room, I walled off my office section there that was generally open. I walled that off, and I made that into a bedroom for me and moved all my stuff in that room. Because previously I was in the room that became Blair's room. Blair's room was originally my bedroom, right? And I built that for me. I built it sort of soundproof. And I moved into this other room. But when I did that, I feel like before Blair was probably Jules and oh god, why can I not remember her name? Nicole. I feel like they were there before Blair, maybe? Sam Kadosh moved in at one point, took over Bianca's room. It's a blur. Maybe that was a little later, but I do know that I had that extra 4th room that was technically my bedroom that I just was kind of holding my stuff for me. I was never in residence anymore. I went to Suzanne's every night, And at some point, Suzanne and her mom go to purchase a house. Suzanne's like, you have to live with me in this house. You can't be living at Soybomb anymore. It's more complicated than that, but essentially that's what she said. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I was like, well, I guess I gotta, at this point, because there was like 4 rooms and the rent was divided basically 4 ways, more or less, everyone was used to paying the lower rents. And I would say that at this point in time, everyone living at Soybomb was not the hugest moneymaker. Like when Soybomb started, it was like gainfully employed construction workers making a good rate, like, you know, double minimum wage or more, you know, or in that area maybe. And somewhere along the line, the Soybomb residents became poorer and poorer and poorer. And it got to the point where, with the cost of living and everything, 4 rooms is making more sense, right? It made more sense to have my temporary room become a room, rent that out, have the rent split more ways. It wasn't really going to affect the space much more than it was traditionally. So the decision was made to have a 4th room, and it was.
That was your room, Paul?
Yeah, and that
was my first. Yeah.
Yeah, so Paul moved into my room that I never slept in. I might have slept in it once, but.
What year did you move in, Paul?
Yeah,
Moved
Paul.
in March of 2013.
2013.
It was that late? I thought you were there earlier.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you. I mean, I don't really know the history of roommates before I moved in, but
You could probably pick it up from here, though.
Let's stay on you for a little bit, because I don't think you quite answered the original question of like what were the challenges that you.
Well, I want to know how you got into the space. Was there like a screening process, or?
Oh, we always had. So anytime a room became available, we would generally just mention on Facebook. Just like, hey, so and so is moving out in like a couple months. Who's interested in moving into Soybomb? And there'd usually be like, you know, up to a dozen people, give or take, that would be interested in moving in. And then, but of course, of a dozen, and Paul can remember this process after he moved in too. There's always, of a dozen or more people that want to move in, there's always half of them are people that you can tell are not going to be compatible, right? You can tell they're just in it for the clout and parties, and they're not going to be a good fit, because even though Soybomb seems like a party house, that's like 5% of the year at best. You know what I mean? Like, day-to-day Soybomb activities are usually pretty chill. It wasn't a bunch of yelling, screaming like weirdos. Everyone was like focused on their work, their art, their social lives, and everyone was generally pretty. Day-to-day was pretty mild. You know, it wasn't some
How
like.
often were people skating the ramp day to day?
So we had seasons of skating. Like I remember a period.
Winter was more, yeah.
2014 or 15-ish, where there was, and that's when I got into skating. I think it was roughly when I came into the space.
I think I forced you to skate.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was that year or the following year, but I was skating.
Yeah, he picked
pretty
it up
much
quick
daily.
too.
You have
Yeah,
to drop in if you want to live here.
his progress was fast, and it pissed me off. He went from nothing to a pretty decent skateboarder in like a few months.
During that time, I was skating pretty often, and as a result, bringing more people in.
You're saying it was seasonal?
Seasonal, as in phases, like but also seasonal.
Also
like
seasonal,
winter was like, it. You know, if there was a year where we weren't doing any skating at all, just because everyone's too busy, which was definitely the case for a long time. By the time it was winter and no one had anywhere to go, it was like, yeah, we have the space, so if we can make the availability to host, then we would. And for a long time we had Sundays and Wednesdays for women's skate night.
We had a regular skate night.
Who was running those women's skate nights?
Oh, the women's K. How did that start? Did we start I think we started a girl. Okay, so we're really meandering all over the place here, but the girl skate night started with. It started out like at one point like. So this is, I think, radical social politics started playing, like eating at me. And the idea that like people were bringing up the idea where it's like a male dominated space, especially in skateboarding. I'm like, oh, that's true, I guess. I mean, skateboarding, it does have a certain amount of machismo to it, and I'm not even going to say that's a gendered thing. It's just machismo, right? And so I would say that a lot of girls that get into skateboarding, they have a certain amount of machismo, because I think you got to have that to skate. You're hurling yourself at the pavement and banging yourself up. There's a certain weird amount of like toughness and difference,
aggression
to that, and aggression. That, again, I'm not going to say that's a gendered thing, but it does fall. It's a machismo thing, and it's generally got like a, you know. Playing the numbers is generally a male thing. Not that it's inherently male, but anyways, I think at one point it's like the idea of like spaces and like social equity is like maybe some people don't feel invited, welcome, or safe in certain spaces, or comfortable enough to go out on a limb and try things, because and I think it's part of it to my mind too that made me think about it, was that it wasn't even just the idea of like having a safe girl only place to skate. It was like, I was also thinking like, you know, someone who's wants to start skateboarding but is intimidated skating with around people who are really good, so you feel like you're going to get judged and stuff, and so just that idea, that kind of inner anxiety keeps you from trying. So part of the idea was like, let's try and do a girls skate night. We know there's a couple girls that were interested in like pushing it, and you know, Paul and I could like open up the space and just sort of hang out and be like chaperones in the kitchen or something, and you know, don't have to participate. And then but I did like the idea, especially when I was there, if anyone needed anyone wanted any instruction or anything, I was available to ask questions about skateboarding, because I taught skateboarding for a couple summers up north in Bracebridge as part of the Culture and Rec program, so I had a little bit of idea of how to explain skateboarding to noobs. Now, so the idea is we put this out on social media, on Facebook, and told people we're interested in doing this, and there's a few people that were interested in participating, so we set it up, and it started to grow on its own. And I think it was pretty good. I don't know how I would describe it. But I do remember that at one point, you remember her name, Paul? She had her like Steph. Steph had this like Babes Brigade thing.
Babes Brigade? Is that it?
Yeah. And I mean, she was into skateboarding and had these like girl skater friends and stuff, but she also had like a fashion brand, and a lot of this Babes Brigade thing was also kind of, I think, like a marketing thing for her, to put it like simply. And so it did feel like at one point that her thing started to dominate, and I think we started separating at that one point, didn't like there'd be a Babes Brigade night that would be a Steph run night, and that was separate from the original girls skate night. You remember, Paul?
I don't recall such a thing, but my memory is quite flawed. I don't remember the origin story, but
Babes Brigade was its own organization.
It became like Steph came into the girls skate night, and then I don't know if she'd already started the Babes Brigade or it became out of that, but it was its own thing that she did. And eventually she definitely had her own Babes Brigade night at Soybomb, because she was organizing those nights. We had nothing to do with organizing those nights. And I remember there was an issue at one point, because there was a trans girl that wanted to skate in the Babes Brigade night, and Steph was like kind of unfamiliar, and I wouldn't say she's weirded out, but she was unfamiliar with like, she in her mind, I think she thought, oh, there's a man or a male that wants to like skate with girls. In her mind, I think she thought that defeated the idea of what she was doing, not having any thoughts about like, you know, trans existence, right, and exclusivity. Words.
Yeah, but I think that's less about like the actual gender you are, and more about like, you know, having a place to skate that's not a different skate park where you might not feel totally comfortable.
Yes, so that's
we won't hold that one against her.
No, and I think she just did. Steph wasn't very radicalized in terms of like personal politics or politics in general. She was fashion oriented. I think she just had this cool girl skate thing, and she was thinking about it from a very Steph centric point of view. And here's the thing though, that was at that moment. She evolved and grew out of that because Babes in Brigade did include trans women shortly after that, you know? I think she had an awkward moment socially, but I'm pretty sure that it was within a couple months where trans girls were skating Babes Brigade nights. So that was kind of cool too, right? But initially, like you said, I think the girls' skate night started out of the idea of just providing a space for girls to skate where they wouldn't have to be intimidated by men for any reason. If they just feel like there's these guys that are like super good. At skate parks exactly. Every time I roll. Exactly. Yeah. That I think was part of what informed that thought for me. Because when I go to a skate park, like I didn't think I was a bad skateboarder, but I go to a skate park and I see some guys I don't know just throwing down. I'm like, I feel weirded out, right?
And the thing is, like 90% of the people there are super nice, but it's just the intimidation of like, I don't want them to think I suck or that they think I'm lame or anything like that. So I totally understand that. Syndrome. Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I used to just go to the skate park at like the early morning because it would just be like a bunch of dads there with their kids, and I would just be like, I feel much better now than like at Dunbat at like 9 p.m. on a Friday when things are getting chaotic. Yeah, you know, and that was going back to what you were feeling about Toronto skateboarding at the time too. There's definitely like a cool guy element there that I definitely wanted to avoid.
At some point, I did like getting up really early and going to a park. And I'd be the first and only one there. And then eventually some like little kids would show up. And that was always great because the little kids have no social shame. They'll just come up and bug you. But because they're little kids, they also like suck compared to you. So they think you're really good too.
I went there for the ego boost. That's for sure. Yeah. I was like, do you want to see an ollie? And they're like, blows their minds. That's great.
My experience with skate parks was generally negative.
Really?
Yeah.
Depends where and when.
I'm sure a lot of great people and whatever, but like the very few times I went,
terrifying.
No, there was actually this one moment where I was just like, wow, skateboarders really fucking suck.
Yeah.
And that was me at Dunbat in the hockey rink area. Yeah. And I was straight up learning to ollie. I was trying to ollie over a stick or something. And someone randomly comes up and like kicks the stick. I'm like,
what?
I'm clearly not at your fucking level. I'm learning how to fucking ollie like this.
Skateboard is that?
Yeah, I'm like, this is
came
like
from the skate park area over to
how
the
old
rink
are
and
you?
did that to you.
Yeah, it's like some fucking dumb fucking elementary school bullshit.
This is why.
I only went, a handful of times to any skate park. Mostly
so soybomb was a safer space to skate.
One, I'm lazy. Anytime anyone was like, do you want to go to this park? I'm like, I'm just gonna do this at home.
Mini ramp. Yeah.
But the thing, and Jane knows this, like I had always struggled with ollieing. So like I can't do street skating. But I can do mini ramp shit, all sorts of mini ramp shit that does not require ollieing.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a funny thing to a lot of people because there's plenty I can do on a mini ramp, but I can't like travel to work on a skateboard.
And I came from a street skating background, so the ramp at Soybomb was the only real ramp I ever skated much. That's why we had to be a smaller ramp because of the height restrictions, but it was a small enough ramp that you could skate street style. You could bring street style stuff to the ramp to some degree because it was a pretty easy ramp. But I had to learn skating ramp on that ramp, and but I was more comfortable skating parks than street. So it was different.
I think it was a great ramp for like the feedback that everyone gave that has skated wherever. It was like, this is the perfect ramp.
We got
because it's mellow.
Yeah, it's totally mellow, but you could still keep really good speed in it. It's only a 3-foot high transition spread out. It was a 7. If I remember correctly, it was a 7-foot radius that the arc was drawn on, and I tried to spread that arc, that radius, from the tip of a 8-foot sheet of plywood to where it came up, and that's what became the template. And it was Dave Buchanan. I don't know why I remember his name because I only met him once, but he was a guy who was sort of the skate ramp guy in Toronto, kind of before Soybomb, like going back like 10 years or so.
Skates.
Was that?
Hogtown Skates. Was Dave Buchanan?
Wait, he was from Hogtown?
He is also the drummer in Micro Edge.
Oh my God! See,
which is
million connections.
Which is a 1983 hardcore band, one of the best hardcore bands in Toronto.
That's crazy.
Love it.
Well, actually, my connection to Dave Buchanan came from oh fuck, you'll know the band. Oh God damn it.
Sudden Impact.
Suzanne,
Sudden Impact.
Tall guy who worked at this paper with you. Sales, blonde, tall, Rich. What's Rich's last name? Gaskin. You know Rich Gaskin from the Down Belows? Was that the Down Belows? You remember the Down Belows?
I do know them.
Yeah,
yes.
Rich Gaskin and the little guy. Who was the little guy, Suzanne? Brian Wicks. And Brian Wicks, who hung out with us quite a bit.
Interviewing Brian Wicks on Friday.
Well, Brian's the one who connected me with Dave Buchanan. Even though
I played soccer with those guys.
That's funny.
In Bastard Squad.
That's funny. See, there's overlap fucking everywhere in this city.
There's tons of overlap.
You're never more than one person removed from anything happening in this city, I swear.
Yeah, Dave Buchanan has a long history within the skate community, and he's I don't know if he's the owner of Hogtown Skates, but he's
Wasn't
certainly
the owner of
there.
Hogtown like a really old dude though? Like he was like 10, 20 years older than me.
Well, Dave's old.
Is he that old? 10, 20 years
he
older
looks
than
young,
me?
but he's old.
Oh, yeah. Anyways,
I'm gonna have to jump very shortly.
Oh, okay. So we'll go back to Paul's stuff quickly, but yeah, there's that connection to Dave Buchanan, which is also punk, hardcore, and old Toronto skateboarding that led to that ramp. Paul,
how shortly do you have to go, Paul?
I appreciated all the stuff on the ramp, but I do want to get back to.
Fucked either way.
Shit.
I want to get back to the Paul. If you could pick up the roommate history from how you got in there, what was the screening process like? First of all, I wanted to ask that.
You know what, Jay? I was thinking, at what point in time did we meet?
Oh, that's what started us conversation. We met. I met you officially at a Food Not Bombs event at Soybomb, but you had been to Soybomb for a gig or two. I think you were here for the Aaron Turner gig.
If I recall correctly, it would have been. I'm looking at this spreadsheet here, but
what's the earliest?
It was a New Year's event, I believe, going into 2012 with the Bulletproof Tiger. I believe that was my first
Bulletproof Tiger. They were good.
Exposure to Soybomb, and then I remember hitchhiking from London.
From London, that's crazy.
Toronto for random things. I remember making a snow couch on the roof after shoveling.
Paul was like fun on a bun incarnate. I think Paul in London, he didn't live in a big crazy venue house, but you lived in sort of a artsy goofball punk house of sorts, did you not?
No, it was very much a suburban house that I was living in, but I was doing house shows. Mm-hmm. One of the small handful of people in London at the time.
So you grew up in Newmarket, and you went to house shows there, right?
Yeah, there was. I went to a pretty normie school, no culture whatsoever, and then it was only after I graduated high school I did a victory lap at a different school, which was very much an artsy fartsy
in Newmarket?
School in Newmarket, and it was like I want to say like 8 months straight, where every single weekend there was a party somewhere. Like like random, and there was always some band playing. That was like my whole interest and exposure to.
Are you able to show your Tito's Pizza tattoo?
I don't feel like taking my pants off right now, but if shout out Tito's Pizza, Newmarket, Ontario, rest in peace.
All right,
York region has its like own scene, right?
Say that again.
York region has its own scene.
Yes, I would say so. And I don't know what the state of it is. A lot of those things happen right now.
People's space in people's houses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my memory of it was very much just like your friend's band that you went to school with or whatever, or like friend of a friend. But everyone kind of like it was an interesting time from my perspective. My memory of it was that it was like 3 or 4 different high schools kind of like finding each other and converging, and yeah, it was honestly every single weekend a different house, probably the same 2 bands.
Same 2 bands every
You know,
weekend.
like for the big chunk of it. Space Party was one of them, like a kind of like math rock duo thing, and it was fucking awesome.
Did that inform what you wound up doing in London?
It was a big part of it. Like I've just always been a and like trying to create space for that. And I was just like, I love this shit. I'm sure other people love this shit. And I think a lot of people didn't have that exposure. So I was trying to do that, host bands when they came through and whatever else. And then I heard about soybomb. Like, this is essentially like it just aligns with everything.
How did you hear about it?
It was definitely through Derek McKeon. And I can't remember the connection. I think it had something to do with a band that he did art for. Giraffes, which I don't believe.
Wait, they never played.
No, I don't think they played. But where's Giraffes based out of?
Fuck, I have a video playing.
I don't remember. There was some kind of connection somehow, but I'm fairly certain it was Derek that was like, you should come to this thing.
What was your first impression?
Where the fuck am I? I think I'm fairly certain the general reaction is, what the fuck is this? But it was great, and it felt welcoming, met a lot of great people. It was just like, to me, it was like, this is the best vibe. Just like watching bands with these people in this weirdo space. And I had no idea. I don't remember if I had expectations or anything, but I was like, this is cool, and I want to come back.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. What was it? Food Not Bombs that we would have met?
I think our first official introduction would have been at Food Not Bombs. Were you still living in London? Yeah, you were. You were living in London when you came to that FNB.
I think I was. I was hitchhiking there all of 2012.
You hitchhiked to Toronto to come to Food Not Bombs. That's wild.
Yeah, and it was the reason why I would have very unpredictable like arrival times. I was like, well, I'm here several hours earlier than I anticipated.
Depending on whether you can get a ride or not.
Yeah. But it was actually, I don't know what it is now, and I probably wouldn't hitchhike anymore personally. But it was very, very easy most days. Like, I would get picked up in a few minutes. I think the record was 2.5 minutes.
Wow, that's great.
I hitchhiked a lot in my youth. It was back when I was a teenager, 14 to 17, maybe even later, 14 to 19. Hitchhiking was common in the Muskoka area, and because the towns are so far apart, and the student culture was based in Bracebridge, where the high school was, but I was like 40 minutes away in Port Carling or Port Sandfield. We would hitchhike every weekend into town. It was common. Weird. Or just a little aside.
Easier, it was faster, it was cheaper.
It was definitely cheaper.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
Did you get involved in doing sound for Soybomb?
I roped them into it.
Yeah, there was no intention. So I'm from more of a studio background. So yeah, the history of that would be, when I moved in, the soundboard was set up upstage left.
Yeah, there was no room at that
under
point.
The right, it was under the right speaker hang.
The board was just sitting on top of the ramp where everyone's standing around it. It was so gnarly.
And I think it was the same board the entire time, the same 16-channel analog mixer with 3 bands of EQ.
Was that
And-
found equipment or?
I have no idea. That's a Jason question, but I think he had kick and vocals going through there.
He's gone to get the board.
Yeah, there it is. 16 channels, one dream.
One dream.
One dream.
16
So,
channels, one
baby.
dream, right here, baby.
Beautiful.
How did you come to get this board?
It was purchased from a friend of a friend. I think it was a loaner at first, and then it was oh god, cables.
Paul, are you just drinking Bacardi?
I think it was a board that wasn't being
Why not?
used.
That's fucking
So
awesome.
it was when it was finally come time to pay the piper. It's like, are you ever gonna give that back? It's like, well, how much would you sell it for? This is a time I didn't have a lot of money. And I'm like, I don't know, $50 or something. Maybe it was $50 in a case of beer. And
That
yeah,
was the right price.
yeah. I probably couldn't sell it for that now, though. No one wants an old analog board, but that's neither here nor there.
No one wants that. But
What kind
I'll
of,
walk you. I'll walk you through it real quick. Jay
Please
had,
do.
I believe, kick and vocals. Yeah. was
Kick and vocals, yeah. Kick and vocals was it. That was it. We're just trying to get the things that you couldn't hear over top of the guitars and cymbals to get as close to the guitars and cymbals as possible.
So it could be level.
Yeah,
So
just as close as possible.
I had no interest in live audio. I was interested in archiving, recording everything. So I think it was the very first gig when I moved in. Let me look at the spreadsheet. 2013.
Yeah.
That was this Animal Faces Solids, Edo, Discord of Forgotten Sketch, Fox
gig.
Mulder. So we, if I recall correctly, rented 2 Art S8 passive splitters.
Oh yeah,
And a
we
shit
didn't
ton of
own that gear
XLR.
yet. Yeah, yeah.
And then I had a bunch of microphones, and then it was just like, why not just, even if it's not in the PA, let's just capture it for
So
recording purposes.
as a little side to that, at that point, at some point in the past, Soybomb would never be involved with the backline. All musicians sort of had to figure out their own shit. I just had a couple mics and a board. But as things progressed and we got more and more bands that we were actually fans of and in love with, I'd want things to be smoother. I'd want the artist experience to be better and better and better. So very often I'd talk with the artist and or the promoter, and I would sometimes organize the backline. So I would rent some drum shells, especially if it was a show I was organizing. I'd rent some drum shells, I'd get some guitar cabs and the bass cab, and I would get that and bring it to Soybomb, and everyone just had to worry about their breakables and their heads and shit. And so at this point in time, we'd already had this sort of, not always, but intermittently renting stuff for a gig. So when Paul was ready to record, it's like, well, let's see what Long and McQuaid has, because we would have rented it from L&M for sure. Did we not?
100%.
So there was already a little
Criminally low. What? Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say
criminally low prices.
Low pricing. I don't understand how they operate their business, but I'm grateful for them.
No Long and
Did you have
McQuaid, no
mics?
music in Toronto, man, for sure.
Well, I don't think. I think unless you've toured the U.S., like people don't really know how cheap it is, because it's exponentially more to
The
rent
yeah.
any backline and PA in the US.
It's
And not only that, but you can do one-way rentals. You can pick up a drum kit for like $20 in Toronto and then drop it off in Vancouver if it,
that's crazy too. That's crazy.
it's insane. And I don't know if people realize
It wasn't just the
that
rental
we have
prices
it
though.
this good.
You could they had their own finance department that they didn't do any fucking credit checks. You just signed a bunch of shit. I think their credit check was that rumors were that there's this big dude they would send to collect if things went into arrears enough. But you didn't have to have a credit history or nothing. Maybe now you do, but you just signed some shit, and I could get like a $2,000 piece of equipment for like as low as $15 a month until I pay it off. Like you could get anything you needed very affordably. Kind of ridiculous. The the second, third, or fourth PA, and then the one after that was at Soybomb because of Long and McQuaid too. Sorry, Paul, to cut you off. Go back.
No, it's all good. Do you remember which show we did the Soundro Mat? Because I remember you made it the day of the show in an ADHD frenzy.
It would have been before the AMF fourth year. Let's see. It
I was
would have
hoping
been.
this would come up.
No.
Look, we had Zadax for my birthday, like 2 gigs after AMF fourth year. Oh, before the Zadax show, we refinished the ramp. Did we do the Sounder Mat around the time we refinished the ramp? Remember, we resurfaced the ramp and we painted it all glossy and nice to be ready for my birthday?
I remember this.
That's a crazy amount of work to do right before a show.
Well, that was a week or so's worth of work leading into it.
Okay, Iron Lung, we were still on the side.
Were we really? No way.
Yeah, I remember that because I had my IMAX set up with I don't remember
Zadax,
what else
we were in the Sounder Mat. I'm almost 90% sure.
What year is this?
This is 2013. This is like a month after I moved in, if I recall correctly.
Wolves played that gig, so you might have been there. April 20th.
I was probably there. Oh, that was okay. That was April 20th, 2013. That was also Record Store Day. I was in the city that day doing. I remember because I was at what store was I at? I think I was at Sonic Boom, and Cancer Bats were playing at Sonic Boom that day. And I left that show early, still kicking myself, to go to Soy Bomb and hang out with Blair in his room that day. So I remember what records I bought that day. I bought Black Flag, Slip It In.
Nice. And
I was playing it on Blair's turntable in his bedroom at Soy Bomb that day. Anyway, just it's all.
But did you remember a Soundromat?
Yeah, we were in the Soundromat. Yeah, like we were in the laundry room doing the audio for that gig. That
probably
too much to remember.
Because I got there way before the show. I was hanging out like the hours before the show. So possibly you guys were still making that, or we're just finishing up. But yeah, I remember that day. That's crazy.
Was the soundboard on the ramp or in the laundromat?
It was.
Yeah, Jay made a hole in the laundry room.
In the wall. There used to be, yeah.
And then we just moved everything there.
And that kind of created like a pass through.
But did we also started the did we move the snake? Had I mounted the snake to the ceiling? Okay, because we that was at the point. Okay, this is an important part in Soy Bomb sound evolution. This was quantity over quality.
Yes.
Paul knows what I'm saying. So
quantity over quality philosophy.
So I found that there was a whole shit ton of cheap audio gear on Amazon in the States. Like 20% of what you could get anything for in Toronto, but you couldn't get it delivered here, so we had to drive down to Niagara Falls in USA. I had to get it delivered to a post box there. Like there's a little business there that did this, and so Paul and I spent like a while putting together a big order. Paul ordered a handful of things. We got this big order together. We got the order sent to Niagara Falls. We did a day trip down to Niagara Falls. We played. Is that the time? Yeah, because Aaron and Erica were with us, and that's where we did the mini putt, where I was riding on top of the dinosaur, flailing around with the polo or the golf club. My favorite pictures ever. Yeah. And you were doing like hard styles in front of the volcano going off. I remember it was your picture.
There was the border person being like, "What is all this for?" And we're like, "For fun." They're like, "This looks like a business thing." I'm like, "We're not making money."
That's the opposite of business. What's the opposite of business?
But it's not making profits.
This is a charity, essentially.
But
not for profit.
But one of the things that happened in that purchase was I got a bunch of knockoff. I got some like knockoff like SM57s, probably a couple knockoff or 2 or 3 knockoffs SM58s, a whole shit ton of cabling, and I got like a 50-foot 16-channel snake for like $70 or something, maybe $60-$70. Like I can't remember what it was. It was so fucking ridiculously cheap. And once we had that gear, like especially that snake, like having extra mics so we could start miking drums, that was important. But having a snake, which means we didn't have 30 fucking microphone cables all over the goddamn place getting beer and God knows what spilled on it. We instead had one big thick cable going from the back of the ramp wall up over across the ceiling and into the sounder mat and down where we had the board.
Is a snake a protective thing that you put all the cables in?
It's a generally in this scenario, it's all included. It comes with a box with 16 inputs in it. In this case, 16 plus 4, and it has a huge cable that comes off, and it's a big thick cable. But when it goes to the other end, it's like just a bunch of thin little wires connected to the pretty cheap wires. I bought the cheapest fucking snake I could find, so. You know, considering it actually did pretty good.
It wasn't moving around. We weren't unplugging things, so I don't
wasn't on the
recall if
ground
there were
either.
Any dead channels
No,
at all.
It lived pretty good
the whole time.
It lived a good life considering. Eventually, I took a
Is it
bicycle.
multi-track?
Yeah, it's 16 channels and they snake. So so from that point on, we'd have microphones.
Started getting 16
channels on the
recordings.
board, and we'd have had extra cheap
Dream.
mics. Yeah, to like we start miking a couple parts. We'd have some overheads on the drum kit sometimes. Snare.
No, they were permanently
drum.
mounted to the ceiling. The overheads.
Oh, the overheads were permanent. That's right. Well, we had a couple upgrades. Remember, Paul? We started with that. We moved into the sounder mat, but then I started buying outboard gear, and then I started shopping on eBay. I got like 2 8-channel compressors, started buying EQs. I had 2 patch bays. We had your auto tune device. We just started building out.
We had auto tune ready to go at all times, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. But
so this is taking sound a lot more seriously, right?
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
To me, it's like the quality management of the sound evolution.
So Paul upped my game a lot. Because beforehand, it's just like, it's a party, it's gritty, everyone's drunk, it's punk rock, it's fine. But then
when did you become aware that Paul knew this stuff?
We'd have conversations. I'd bug Paul about it. I'd pick his brain. I'd ask him questions. Sometimes I'd be saying something stupid, and he would like volunteer some expertise, and I'd be like, "Oh," and like so. And then
but we would have been interested in making it better.
Well,
like you were saying that you were trying to make the band experience better.
Well, part of it was
one of those things.
Like I say, things started out pretty gritty, but as Soybomb's infamy grew, so did the quality of bands that came to play. And then I started getting self-conscious. Maybe not so much self-conscious as a little bit of subconsciousness, but also like one of my long-term beefs with music in Toronto is sound techs that don't know or don't care about the source material. And some of my favorite bands, I saw Superchunk mid-career at the Opera House, and they sounded like fucking ass. This is Superchunk, one of the most seminal fucking bands. This was like 7 albums into their career, and they're playing at the Opera House, and they sound like a fucking garage band in someone's basement. Like that's absolute fucking murder. I always had a pet peeve with sound techs who didn't give a fuck in the city. Like, people are paying to see their favorite bands. You should be doing due diligence and familiarizing yourself with the source material, so you have an understanding of how the band kind of wants to present their music in a recording capacity, and then try and get to that within reason in a live setting. But also understanding the space in the crowd. It's going to be gritty, whatever. Sometimes you play to that grit as well. But you can only do that if you have better gear. And so Paul, coming from a professional background, was having to is explaining to me, like, conceptually the tech that would be required, and then me going, what if I use this that's like 10% the price and is like made in China and may or may not work, is like and we would be shocked. Paul, how many times were we fucking completely blown off our asses by like dirt cheap shit we bought online that should not have worked as well as it did? Like,
I mean, I think we made it work, and this is completely in a tangent. I think all of this is a tangent, but anyway, music for the most part lives in the mid-range, and I think if you have something that reproduces the mid-range well, then you're in good shape.
Yeah. And a
lot of these shitty things are very mid-rangey, and the way that we generally want to present a lot of it is very mid-range forward.
But I think
it worked out in a lot of ways just to our favor.
I do think that with your trained ear and my incessant pushing, we would go through mics. I do believe that we went cable by cable, mic by mic, and you going through your original interface before you got the Apollo, and we were grading every bit of equipment we had, so you could judge the noise floor of the cables, you judge the noise floor of the mics. Like, we got into the weeds way more than the space really required. Like, we got nerdy about shit. You made me nerdy about this shit, you know? I mean, technically I was a nerd in waiting when it came to like sound tech shit, the gear. And then when you were there to just amp me up and were like right into rolling in the mud with me, it was like, yeah, let's get into it. What do we got? What can we do with this? And so we got nerdy about
I feel
the
like it was
shit.
we may as well.
Yeah.
And also taking pride in trying to make it as good as we could have. If we're doing it anyway, why not try to make it good?
Hell yeah.
What's the time difference between there's a show that night and also we want to cut a hole in the wall and make a sound tech room?
That was done in advance. Like, started a week or two before the gig.
Okay.
The work. This is the absolute truth. This soy bomb is the work was never done. If I finish something, I immediately see 10 other things that could be done. So I was like, oh, that's something we could do. We could get to. So it's always work. It's just work. As soon as something is done, I'm not like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's awesome, we're done. I don't think about it anymore. It's like we did that one thing, what else can we do? So everything at Soybomb was always looking at the next project and thinking, how are we going to accomplish that? It's the ADHD brain always looking for a puzzle to solve. And Soybomb was an endless pile of puzzles because everything we did could be a new project constantly. So it's just like, what are we doing next? What can we do next? What's it going to cost us?
I remember you tinkering with trying to get a live stream going at the very last show. Yeah. So toward like in the dying moments of Soybomb, you were trying to make it better and make it the best, and just like figuring out where this camera's going to go and what's the best angle and like, is this going to work? And so I was just watching you work, and I'm like, man, this is the last few minutes of this space existing.
Because like it's always like, what else can you do? What else can you do? Are we done? Are we ever done? What else can we do? It's like, oh, okay, we have this mix perfect. Nothing's going to deviate in this. The compressors are set perfect for this. Vocals are floating on top. Peachy gain. The guitars aren't being assholes, and their volume's at a decent level. We can regulate. I can go have a cigarette. I can go see if I can take a bunch of empties back to Suzanne and see if she needs anything from the storage room. Like, there's always something to do. So Soybomb was always something to do, and so happy to do it, I guess. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
The last show was a really great example of working to the wire, because it was, I think whatever the scheduled doors time, we were still knocking down walls.
Yeah, we were literally tearing out walls in the back room. Oh god.
Like the idea was, we don't have the space anymore. Everyone's generally moved out. We need to make as much room as possible, so let's just tear down these walls.
Yeah.
And we made that decision. I don't know if it was that day that we made that decision.
Yeah, it was within 2-3 hours of doors opening that we made that decision.
Yeah.
But we had
I think it was like, here's some sledgehammers. If no one is doing anything, just go crazy.
And everyone was so stoked to tear down walls. To be honest,
that's the dream.
Yeah, but I think in true soybomb fashion as well, there was a couple handfuls of friends hanging out while we're setting up, and were more than willing to lend a hand. It was so appropriate in the last moments of soybomb that like Tokyo was there. Tokyo, who now has a crazy, weird social media professional music life, was just hanging out for the last gig. And back in the day, he would always just be hanging out and more than happy to like help Paul. Like, if something fell over on stage, Tokyo was in. Paul would be at the board, not sure what's going on. I'd be at the edge of the ramp going, I don't know what's going on. Tokyo would be like going right up to the front, like seeing what's going on and fixing it.
Who's Tokyo? I haven't heard this name.
Tokyo Spears.
Tokyo is a former roommate in London. We went to school together, and he now plays for an artist called Walk Off the Earth.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's like he's definitely a full-on wheel of that act now, I would say.
Yep.
Wow.
Which really fits him too. Fits him very well.
It is a perfect fit.
Yeah, I remember walking up because that last show, so the front door was obviously locked, so you had to go up the fire escape in the back, and walking through, and doors, the walls were still being demolished. So I was like, already this is perfect. And so you walk through the back, and it looks a little bit different from how I remembered it, because the layout was a little bit different.
I think that last day was special for everyone because no one had saw what it looked like. The number of people that went past that blocked off hallway. A lot of people didn't even know there was a hallway there because we had
they thought it ended at the kitchen. Yeah, no one knew.
Yeah, no one even knew there
No one knew there was a fire
there.
escape back there, so they all thought they were going to die if shit went down.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that fire escape had been blocked by a bookshelf, or it had been sealed off for a long time, no?
When it was my bedroom, I had a bookshelf that was on hinges that like cut off the door during like when I use it as a room. Partly
There's a secret door.
It would look like looked like a secret door, but it was also very cold because it wasn't an insulated door. In the winter, it sucked. But generally, like that was early on. I think that was before we started getting any big gigs, anyways. But there was. I don't know that we ever had signage. We just trusted that like we who lived there.
Signage, of course you did.
No, later we had tons. We had tons at some point. But earlier on, when it was like friends of friends, it was always like if shit goes down, there's 40 people that know what to do in the room, right? Like this is the thing this was the beauty of soybomb that I don't know is replicatable, because it was really a large group of friends that made what happened there work so well, because the community was self-policing. We were there we had crazy gigs for over a decade, and only 2 or 3 like violent incidents, because everyone knew that you're just one friend removed from anyone else in that room, so no one was going to start shit. Like nothing ever went too sideways. It was self-policing. Everyone was pretty cool and chill. Like you
get into those incidents though. So what were some of those things that happened?
The one that sticks out in my mind, there's a bigger funny story and anecdote to tell, but the one that sticks out in my mind that was like the most gnarly to me was it was one of the Not Dead Yet after parties. There was this like drunken crusty punk dude who was punching people in the pit. He was attacking, just punching them, just freaking out. And someone came up to me and like, and Not Dead Yet, like Greg didn't fuck around. He had security. He had like so many staff and volunteers. Like shit was looked after. But it was just at that moment where there was no one else around. I'm just like doing sound stuff, and someone says, "Hey, this guy was like fucking like attacking people in the pit. He's flipping out." So I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So I go over to the guy, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, like you're ranging out, you're pissing people off, you're attacking people. You can't do that here. Like everyone here is buddies. Like you gotta chill." And he's like, he had a manic look in his eye, but he looks at me, he's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no, dude, like, come on. And he went to like lunge at me and grab me by the neck and attack me. And I listen, I've never started a fight in my life, but I became better and better and better at finishing them. So I have a switch, and I'm very good at never reaching that switch. But when that switch is reached, I'm like ear to ear smile. Violence is fun. So this guy grabbed me, and I just like switch flip. I grabbed him by the neck, lifted him up, and walked him and slammed him against the wall. And I'm not proud of that because he crumpled, and I immediately felt bad and like, oh, dude, are you okay? And I like grabbed his arm to help them up, right? And I was like, listen, you got to go. You're out, and like you can't be attacking people in the pit. That's no good. Out you go. And he had a friend or someone that knew him said, I'll get him out of here. So that ended like that.
You remember what show that was?
It was one of the Not Dead Yet after parties. I couldn't tell you which one in hindsight. Greg might know.
Okay.
I'll show you the scar, but it's on my upper inner thigh, and I have to pull my pants down.
It's a pretty good outcome.
Oh, the scar.
He cut you?
Because that's no. So
I mean, I've worked at Lee's Palace and a bunch of other places. That's a pretty good outcome.
So the story's not done yet. So
okay.
Another band or two later, I hear that he's outside making a huge stink. Wants to come back in because he said his clothes, his jacket, or something's still up there, and he's mad that people are stealing his shit. I think at this point, I think the show's over. I think like the night, like the bands are done, the show's over. I go out there, and people are thinking he's sitting over there. He's like up against like the wrought iron fence in between our place and Corrado's, the barbershop, and he's leaning up against that, and he's just like this, like just messed up. And I was like, hey, dude, what's up? I heard you're something. And he turns towards me. He's holding a knife. Like, he's got a shiv. Like, it's like a dagger. Like, I don't know if it's a retractable one, but it's like one that's got a handle, and it's like a double-bladed knife. And he's holding it. And he's, like, holding it. I think it was in his left hand. And he's holding it, and I'm like, oh, shit, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, what's up? What's going on? He's like, no, listen. Oh, and he had a dog. So this is where I got the scar from. He had a dog. Like he was a crusty punk living under the bridge, crust punk, and he had a dog, a street dog, and, you know, and these dogs are their protection in this like society, right? So because I'm like talking loud to this guy and he's kind of yelling at me, the dog's responding to him and keeps trying to bite me. So the dog bites me. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, what? And so I start doing like Jedi mind tricks with the dog because I'm like, oh, what's wrong, buddy? What's going on? And he starts wagging his tail, but his owner is still yelling. So the dog's so confused. He's like, I got to attack this guy, but this guy's being nice to me. So I'm talking, it's okay, dog. And I watch him. And then when he go to lunge me, I would just put my hand down beside his head and divert his head from my leg so he wouldn't bite me. But he did get one good bite on me, and it like I still have a scar from it. But I would just like do this thing with him. I was just talking nice to this dog and diverting him from like I wasn't attacking the dog. I was just like I would just wait and just go like this and just like divert his head from hitting me when he went to lunge at me. And all the time I'm talking nice to the dog, and the dog's wagging his tail and so confused. And then this guy standing there with a fucking knife, mad about not getting his shit. And I was just like, and I know we had people there who knew. I was like, can someone take care of, I remember the dog's name. The dog's name was Kong. I remember that. And I found out the dog is Kong. Who's this dog? Kong. Does anyone know Kong? Can anyone take care of Kong? As I'm like going like this, like every 2 seconds. And someone takes care of the dog. And then I'm talking to guys like, listen, you can't come in and stay, but if you have something up there, I will walk up there with you and we will go look for it, but you got to leave that fucking knife out here. And he deflated a little bit and he left his knife with somebody and he came up. We walked around. We couldn't find it, but I was being respectful to him and trying not to like be more of an asshole to him. And
yeah.
And then it turned out that someone he knew had already grabbed his shit, and they came right up. Oh no, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like, oh, we got his shit. We tell him we got his shit. It's fine. We got his shit. I was like, oh, they got your shit. And he's like, and then they go outside, and that was that. But
it's an ideal resolution.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I got bit by a dog and almost stabbed, but like,
sure.
But that was the situation. I had a dude with a fucking knife ready to shank me while his street dog was constantly trying to bite me. And
that's a bad scenario, but you had a good outcome.
It was a good outcome. Even in hindsight, I can't believe that's what happened. Like, I can't believe that's what happened.
Crazy story.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's nuts. So that's one crazy thing, and then you talked about another funnier one.
We
gonna
threw
Was it later? I think it was an also. You got to go, Paul.
Oh, Paul,
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
are you up for next week still? When are you hitting the road? April?
I'm not hitting the road till April, but I'm in administrative hell until then. When are you planning on doing another call?
Next Tuesday?
Ideally.
All right. Stock up on
Cool,
wine.
man.
TBD.
Yeah.
All right.
Paul, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah,
Talk to you
before I
later.
forget, Jay, I just remembered that one time we all tried to lift a car.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Oh, because it was parked
The
shitty in the
Fiddler show, right?
backyard? Was it the
I don't
Fiddler
remember.
show?
I'm gonna go, but hopefully that
Okay.
jogs your memory for a.
I have to pee real quick.
good
Jay, you
story.
think about that story,
Only
and then I'll
vaguely
be right
does.
back, and then we'll get into it.
We're parked in Suzanne's spot.
Were we just trying to move it because
And then-
Suzanne was trying to park? Is that what it was?
I think so, and then we
Oh my God.
de-escalated it, and then they ended up hanging out. Okay, I gotta go.
All right.
Bye.
Well, Paul, see you in a week.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Bye, Paul. All right, now I gotta move the camera around. There's like too many of me on the screen. It's wild because I would say that, like, personally, my life has had so many wild, like, randomness. You do just kind of learn to just roll with the punches and, like, you know, keep all, like I say, that story had a positive outcome. I think, and for me personally, if my switch doesn't get flipped, and it's like 99.9% of the time, it never gets flipped. So if that switch, and even in that story, my switch flipped, but I immediately was like, oh, he crumpled. I feel bad for this guy. He's like a baby, you know? Like I was also able to immediately recognize, like, oh, I don't need to, like, you know, go MMA on this guy's ass. You know, like, it's not
you're
that.
recognizing the scenario, you're figuring out how to de-escalate it, and you're troubleshooting or problem solving that situation.
Yeah,
These are skills that come from a lot of experience, and also from, I think, some really important community building. I feel like a lot of your history is about community building, and even the soybomb
some of it
project,
intentional,
to
not
me.
always though.
Okay.
No, because, like, the thing is, I think both that community building and the problem solving, like, in these, like, dealing with the weird moments, is always just wanting everyone to have fun, have a good time, wanting everyone to be okay. So even when you got someone in your face, you're mad at first, but then it doesn't take more than a couple seconds of thinking, going, this guy's, you know, he's going through some kind of shit. He can't participate anymore, but maybe we can make this guy realize he's just going through some shit, and maybe he'll stop being such an asshole. And that tactics worked a couple times for me, you know? So, and is that understanding that, like, even someone who's potentially dangerous and causing shit and making everyone else have a bad time, even in that moment, you can recognize that they're probably from having a bad time too, maybe a lifetime of bad time. And that's informing where they're at. And if you can at least try and, like, you might not be able to recognize what that is, but you can at least, like, acknowledge that that's probably what's happening. That goes a long fucking way to, like, having some understanding of
These
someone
are all
else.
de-escalation strategies.
I didn't
you
learn
learned
them.
it.
I wasn't taught them.
Well,
You just
did
sort of
learn it. You
figure
learned
it
it
out.
somehow.
Yeah, you figure it out. Eventually, punching everybody out stops, like, feeling awesome. You know,
De-escalating starts with the awareness of where the person's at,
yeah, or hoping,
and then trying to troubleshoot it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever, like, you don't even fully understand where they're at. You just know that they're at somewhere, and there's a kernel of a person in there, and you got to try and get to that to make them, like, realize, like, oh, I am the asshole, and then maybe I should just chill the fuck out, because inevitably that's what they do, right? But since Calin's back, we'll go back to the other moment. So one of the moments that sticks out, I remember, was the band Protestant was playing. It was a show that Woodford had set up. They're like a DIY hardcore, a long-standing DIY hardcore band from the States.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah. Corey's awesome,
Milwaukee?
man. Is it?
They're on Mountain Records.
Yeah. Is that Corey's own label? I know he has his own label, but I'm not sure if they're on it.
No, this is a label from the States.
Yeah. Well, Corey's from the States. But anyway, so that was a wild show too. So Corey's not young. He's probably might even have a year or two on me, maybe more. And I remember it was like some younger kids moshing, and they're banging into his mic stand while he's like playing, and he's getting pissed off. But you can see the kids were oblivious. They just think it's punk rock, and everyone should just be smashed into. So I'm like, oh God, I don't want these kids to not like get their yayas out, but Corey's gonna have his shit fit and just go home, which means driving back to the States. So I'm like, fuck. So I get my big schooner of beer, and I go and stand in front of Corey to act like a wall, and Corey's singing, I'm just standing in front of him like bracing myself while all the kids are bouncing off my back. And just, that's part of that same thing. Like, what can you do in this situation? Well, this is the only thing I can think of. I guess this is what we're going to do.
That's just good mediation, though, because then the kids get to have a good time, and the person performing doesn't get further pissed off.
Yeah, it's probably felt weirded out, though, that he was, like, singing to me the whole time for the last half of their set.
That's not the first time you've done that, too. You're also standing in front of the drums at a bunch of shows to protect the drum kit,
Animal
right?
Faces during the last... There's been other moments, too, but the last gig, definitely. I didn't want to be there. I just knew someone had to be there,
Yeah.
Like standing in front of that kit, holding it together. That was rough. But
I think Steven needs to bounce. So it'll just
should we
be
finish
me
off
and
the
you
last? Oh, you want to bounce? Do you want to hear the last anecdote, Steven? Because that same show with Protestant, at some point later in the evening, some gentleman up the street got kicked out of their bar or whatever. They kicked out of the football factory because there was like some soccer event happening that night. He got kicked out of the football factory. Him and his friends made their way up the stairs. Only he stayed. He paid his $5 and stayed. And he didn't know what was going on. And he's like standing on the edge of the ramp watching what was going on. Completely zooted out. I didn't know what was going on at the time. And kids start bouncing off him. And he gets all like, and he punches a young lady in the face, like punches a girl in the face, knocks her down. And what? Everyone like immediately so the creeper guys were there, Zach and Colin. I don't know who. I think Zach's like 5'5" at best. Like little Zach's right on him, fucking tackling him out the door. Colin from Creeper is like probably 6'3" or something. He grabs him and throws him down the first set of stairs. And then I think Jordan Smith was there too from J-Back and shit. Where's the Protestant show? Where's that on the list? Is that on the list?
2012 October 5th, I think.
You guys are on it.
I'm on the list, yeah.
October 2012.
Protestant, Creeper, Millhouse, Youth, Pretty Mouth.
Wait, where is it? Oh, probably there it is.
Row
Yeah,
67.
Yeah. Row 67. Yeah. So that's why Creeper guys were there. They played that night.
Yeah.
It's funny I remember them being there, but don't remember them playing. That's fucking messed up.
Well, when a lady gets hit in the mouth, that's kind of what you remember.
Well, but the story's not done yet. But I will say this: Woodford set up the gig, but he was on tour with Titan, so he wasn't even there that night to mediate any of this shit. But but anyways, so he's outside. It's in between bands at this point. I go out because people say he's like down outside threatening people, saying he knows the Jamaican mafia and that his dad's someone important, blah, blah, blah. So I go down and talk to this guy, and he starts yelling at me, and he's got that like, that alcoholic mouth where they've drunk so much that their spit is a foam? They've drank so much their spit becomes like an aerosolized
because they're dehydrated too.
Yeah, and it's just like... And it's just like I recognize the archetype, and he's yelling at me that he knows the Jamaican mafia. He's saying his dad is Conrad Black. Turns out that's true. And I
remember this.
Yeah, this is the son of the son of Conrad Black.
We've heard this from other people.
Randomly showed up at a soybomb gig just because he was just following people on the sidewalk. ended up at Soybomb, punched a girl in the head, got tossed down the stairs, got really mad, and wanted to get the Jamaican gang mafia involved, if that was the thing that he could do.
Because he thought he was entitled to punch people?
He just didn't. I don't know, man. The guy's fucked. I mean, like, here's the thing, though. So I go outside to talk to this guy, and he's getting all mad, and I look at him and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you think you're doing right now? Like, this is your life. You're fucking shit up. Look what you're doing to these people. Like, do you think what you're doing is smart right now? And he just goes from like this to like, and like all of a sudden gets like sad and kind of like,
oh, no.
I know I'm a fuck up. And it just kind of like goes to like from like angry wanting to kill people to like.
Sometimes you need that realization, that reality check. Somebody needs to bring it to people because
if
people
only he could remember that the morning after.
He had a phone on him and he kept trying to dial 911. He was so mad. We find out later the next day that yes, he's Conrad Black's son, and his phone wouldn't work because he's got a restraining order against him. He's not allowed any electronic devices because he was stalking a woman, and it was in court. It was a big deal. It was in the papers. He had none of it. He wasn't allowed any electronic devices. That's why he had this phone that didn't work. I guess it would only work on Wi-Fi or something. And like, and I managed to like just somehow read him enough to like throw some shit at. I wasn't expect him to like deflate like that, but he went like boom, like, oh, I am stupid asshole. And like, because I think like he's like this wealthy billionaire's son who's a fuck up. He's a fail son in every possible, worst possible way.
But because he's wealthy, he's probably been enabled by his friends and his friend group.
Yes, but at the same time, he's well aware that he's
told
a fuck
him the
up.
reality.
And he knew it, though. He fucking knew it. And I just delivered it in a way where he like, oh, man, you're right. You know, it just like, it was over. And that was it. That was just
it's like a reality check.
Yeah. And
they needed.
And then he disappeared.
Hopefully he could remember that the next morning.
But I don't know. He was fucked up, man.
Yeah,
but none of us
At
believed
the
it was
moment,
Conrad's black son until the next day. Everyone started Googling. It was like, oh my God, that actually was Conrad Black's son. Because there's tons of pictures of him on the internet, right? Like at the time. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
You probably said what a million people have been trying to say to him. So
I doubt it changed anything, but we'll see. But
didn't have to. It sorted out the situation at the time.
But lots of things happen at Soybomb, but that's one that sticks out. The one with the knife and the dog sticks out. And beyond that, there's not, like, I remember kicking another guy out of another show that he was apparently punching people in the face. I didn't kick him out. Jordan Smith kicked him out. He grabbed the guy and said, you have to leave. And that way he left. And then some people were telling me about it. And I was doing sound. So I was like, all right. And Jordan came up and told me about it. So I already knew he'd been kicked out. So I'm like, don't worry. I'm trying to like keep microphones from feeding back. And shrugged a bunch of people off while like everyone's telling me. But after the set, I went outside, talked to this guy. And it's like, listen, you're punching people in the pit. That's just assholery. You can't come in. You're done for the night, right? But think about what you've done. Think about how you affected people. And in the future, I'll let you back in. Come do another show if you want. And hope you'll learn from this experience. And he was really chill. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, yeah, I know. I fucked up. I'm dumbass. And then
for the night is also crazy because like you could have said you're never welcome back here ever again, and that would have been totally within your rights. But just for the night and then maybe come back to another show is so generous.
It's not generosity. What it is the acknowledgement that like I didn't even understand at that point yet in my life the idea of transformative justice. But the idea that like you can do bad because you only ever taught to be bad by your environment. But once you have people who seem to not hate you and to say you fucked up, but maybe you can be better, that goes a long fucking way. I believe shit like that happened with me in small bits and moments in my life. Like, I think when you have someone say you fucked up, but you can probably do better, that goes
turn this into a learning experience.
Yeah, I think that goes way fucking hard, way more hard than just saying, fuck you, you're a fucking enemy for life, and I hope you fucking die in your own vomit, you piece of shit. that doesn't help anybody. It sends them further down their descent, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said to that guy he remembers, if it had any effect on him, but I like to think that, like, one guy fucking...
It seems like at the moment the reaction is something that's telling.
It just, I just hope that, like, everyone... people talk about punk rock being inclusive, and I think inclusive does also mean assholes, but within reason. Like, it's within reason. A punk rock space should be a safe space within reason, and that should include assholes. But once they cross that line, they're out. But then you also have to teach them that, like, you could still be a part of this and being a loved member of the community. You just have to learn to keep this demon in check. You know, like, what you did wasn't acceptable, but you can be better. You can be better. And if you have enough people in your life telling you you can be better in just a friendly way, I think people can be better. Like, that's just how people are. Yeah. People aren't born.
Guiding star.
Yeah, people aren't born assholes. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Stephen. I think we kept you along.
That's a great. I think that's a great place to end. Actually, let's end it here for tonight, and then we'll get into more of it next week.
All right.
But that's a really nice positive place to start, and we'll just cap it there. And then next week we'll get into the last couple areas that we kind of need to cover.
All right. The lesson is we're all assholes, but we can be better.
That's really the truth of life, I think. I mean, if you had to sum it all up, like, we're all kind of pieces of shit, but we kind of
it's also a good community principle.
Yeah. Because I think
totally.
It's a community principle because we want to build communities where we're not grown up, raised to be assholes, right? This is a much deeper philosophical, political conversation, but it's not just you can be better and I can be better. We can all be better, right?
Well, it's a strategy for change management. And it's applied to a really practical scenario. It's really great, actually.
You have to. I don't know the management strategy you're speaking of, but I'll accept your.
Well, change management is just like a philosophy about how to make change in scenarios, right? And using community as the project. This is a change management strategy on how to make people better. Great.
Fingers crossed, right? Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. It's like, 'cause again, I'm not.
I mean, there's many ways to do things, and this is just one of them. It's a great. I love it. I think it's excellent.
It's just in the moment. I don't know. And I think I also say this though. In those moments, I'm trying to be better myself at the same time. Remember, I say I'm that person that has that switch, and it's easy for me to solve problems with my fists if I really have to. But I'd never ever thought that was a smart way to deal with anything. Right? So
it has repercussions if you do it the other way.
Yeah, you have people fear you instead of like love you and respect you.
The awareness that you bring to it actually starts at a level where you can actually start reasoning with each other.
I guess if you start the conversation with violence and then de-escalate, I guess that could work.
No, usually that.
I start every conversation with at least throwing one punch, and then we
what's
can
for dinner, honey?
We can work backwards.
Usually that never works, but somehow you made it work, Jay.
Yeah, you did it. All right, guys, that was so good. That was so much fun. Thanks again for another good edition of this. Yeah, I'd love to do like maybe one or even two more of these.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million anecdotes. You can see you bring up one section, one subject, and there's an infinite amount of things. Even tonight, the subjects we touch, some of those moments we only skirted the surface of, and some of them. Oh God, my camera. Oh no, I've grabbed the wrong thing. Anyway,
Sorry,
not important. But also, like, I do think that when we hit some subjects, I recognize, like, oh, this is kind of an important moment to me. I need to dwell on this, and so we do that sometimes in our conversations, and then I end up forgetting other things that are also important to the subject. So I realize at the end of it is like, God, there's so much more.
So much. There's always so much, but I think we cover the really important stuff, and we'll get to everything eventually, but I don't want you to worry about that you're not saying enough about certain topics, because we'll always circle back to to all
Good.
that stuff.
Right on. Yeah,
But,
I'm happy to do this every Tuesday till I got nothing left to say or you're sick of it.
Sick. Perfect. We'll keep it going then, because this is invaluable for us.
All right.
I mean, it's so good.
It's
All
also
right,
a document too. Like I say, like when we were talking about roommates and stuff, and we're getting into the weeds, and you're probably thinking, this is going slow and it's not really getting anywhere. But then part of me is thinking like an archivist and going, well, is this information important? It's not important to the story, but it's important for the archives. You don't need it, but maybe I need it.
Yeah, and often someone will say something in an interview where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure that's really going to be important, and later on I'm like, that was really important, because it speaks to something somebody else said also, and they're in conversation with each other. So I'm never going to make a judgment call in the moment of like, this is important or not. We're just going to have it.
You just got to humor me and see if it amounts to something. Sure. That's why if you're happy with continuing the conversations, we'll get to the heart of it eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right,
man. Thank you for your time tonight. This was so much fun.
All right. Night, Calin.
All right, dude.
Ciao for now.
I'll talk to you next week. See you.
Oh, it always cuts out a little too early. Okay. Let's you don't even need to humor him. He'll get there. Oh God, double size. I know it's too much. One Punch Man had levels. Doing a casserole. Then start blasting a fucking trip. Oh God. On that note, I think I gotta cut out. Check in with the missus, and then maybe see if Power Trip wants to spend a couple minutes in game. Power Trip is my game buddy. We spend all our life shooting random people on the internet. Anyways, everyone who showed up, listened to the conversation. Hi. I love. Someone enjoy listening to these stories. Oh, Carlo. Do I know Carlo? The problem with everyone's nom de guerres on different platforms. You don't know if these people are people that you know. Because when I'm talking about soybomb stuff, at any given time, 50% of the people who are listening probably been to soybomb, and they're probably people I know, but I don't know them in the chat, right? I feel so used. Game buddy, what a title. I mean, Trip and I mean, we've only experienced technically games together. We've hung out a bunch, chatted a bunch. Trip is a buddy, but the majority of our time spent together is in a game. So I don't want to belittle Trip as a friend. I think Trip is one of my bigger friends in the last decade, but all our time is virtual, not in person. Trip, I can't come to the States, but you should one day try and come visit me in Toronto. Bring the kids. I'll toss them around. We'll have some fun. Although your oldest is pretty old now. I don't think I could toss him around. Probably wouldn't be able to toss a little one around. All right, everyone. I got to head out. Trip, maybe I'll talk to you in 10, 15. He's skinny. It'll be fine. Don't bring the kids. Don't do it. It's Toronto. Take them to the fish land and the Wonderland, and there's always fun stuff for kids in Toronto. Horse Crisis for life, everyone. All right, how do I end the stream? Stopping the recording. I busted it. Oh God. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. For anyone who's tuning in, enjoying me, that's probably not likely the case, but I do plan to do more content in the future outside of these conversations about soybomb's history. I have a bunch of different ideas of random stuff tangentially related to being the soybomb guy. It's not world-breaking stuff, but it's fun stuff for me. So if you are interested, follow, hang out. I'm on the internet because I'm a lonely old man and I like weird things. So maybe some of you other people are lonely old people that want to neat